In the intricate landscape of human interactions, there are moments when words become more than mere sounds. They transform into psychological probes, subtle instruments that reveal the deepest intentions hidden beneath seemingly innocent inquiries. Some questions are not simply requests for information. They're strategic maneuvers, carefully crafted to penetrate your emotional defenses, to map the vulnerable terrain of your inner world. These are not casual exchanges, but calculated attempts to understand, manipulate, or potentially exploit your most intimate vulnerabilities. The human psyche is a complex ecosystem where trust is the delicate membrane that separates our inner sanctum from the external world. Every conversation is an unspoken negotiation, a dance of emotional boundaries where each word can be a step towards connection or a potential breach of your personal sovereignty. When certain questions emerge, seemingly innocuous yet laden with psychological weight, they become red flags, warning signals that demand your most refined emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Imagine your consciousness as a fortress, meticulously constructed through years of experience, pain, growth, and self-discovery. This fortress is not just a physical metaphor, but a living, breathing manifestation of your accumulated wisdom, your learned resilience. The questions we're about to explore are like sophisticated siege engines, designed to probe, test, and potentially compromise the walls of your emotional defense system. They are not random. They are strategic, calculated, and often wielded by individuals who understand the art of psychological manipulation. Our journey today is not about paranoia or developing an impenetrable shield that isolates you from genuine human connection. Instead, it's about cultivating a profound understanding of interpersonal dynamics, about recognizing the subtle nuances that distinguish genuine curiosity from manipulative intent. It's about transforming your emotional intelligence from a passive state of vulnerability to an active, discerning mechanism of self-protection and authentic engagement. If these words feel like they're pulling something inside you, let yourself respond gently, perhaps with a like or a quiet moment shared below. And if this journey resonates, stay with us. The human mind is a terrain of infinite complexity, where intentions are rarely as transparent as we might wish. Every interaction carries an energetic signature, a vibrational frequency that speaks volumes beyond the literal meaning of words. Some individuals possess an uncanny ability to ask questions that seem harmless on the surface, but are, in reality, carefully designed psychological probes. These questions are not mere verbal exchanges. They're sophisticated instruments of emotional reconnaissance, crafted to extract information, gauge vulnerability, and potentially establish a form of psychological control. Our exploration will not be a simplistic guide to identifying bad people or creating fear-based barriers. Instead, we aim to develop a nuanced understanding of human interaction, to sharpen your emotional intuition, to transform your perception from reactive defensiveness to intelligent, compassionate awareness. The questions we'll discuss are not inherently malevolent. They are reflections of complex human motivations, windows into the intricate psychological landscapes that drive human behavior. Consider the profound difference between protection and paranoia. Protection is an intelligent, adaptive response that honors your emotional boundaries while remaining open to genuine connection. Paranoia, conversely, is a rigid, fear-driven state that closes you off from authentic human experiences. Our goal is to cultivate a state of mindful awareness, a dynamic, flexible intelligence that can discern subtle psychological nuances without losing the capacity for empathy and connection. If this reflection echoes something you've carried silently, you are not alone. Feel free to leave your thoughts or simply be here with us. And if you wish, subscribe and return when the path calls again. In the intricate realm of human interactions, psychological manipulation often disguises itself as innocent curiosity, wearing masks of concern, friendship, or casual conversation. These carefully constructed questions are not random verbal accidents, but calculated strategies designed to penetrate your emotional boundaries, to map the contours of your vulnerabilities, and potentially establish a subtle form of psychological control. Each word becomes a probe, each inquiry a carefully designed instrument meant to extract not just information, but emotional leverage. The first question that should immediately activate your internal warning system is deceptively simple, yet profoundly revealing. What are your biggest insecurities? This seemingly direct inquiry is rarely about genuine understanding or empathy. It is a psychological excavation tool, a method designed to identify the precise points where your emotional armor might be weakest. When someone asks this question, they're not seeking connection. They're searching for potential pressure points, areas where they might later apply psychological manipulation. Consider the deeper mechanics of this question. By demanding that you expose your most vulnerable aspects, the interrogator positions themselves as a potential authority, someone supposedly trustworthy enough to hear your deepest fears. But true trust is not demanded or extracted. It is earned through consistent, compassionate interaction. The individual who rushes to understand your vulnerabilities before establishing a genuine, safe relational context is likely more interested in potential exploitation than genuine connection. Emotional intelligence demands that we recognize these subtle psychological maneuvers. It requires us to understand that our vulnerabilities are not weaknesses to be exposed, but sacred territories to be protected and shared only with those who have demonstrated genuine empathy, respect, and consistent trustworthiness. The moment someone attempts to rapidly map your emotional landscape, you must activate your internal defense mechanisms, not as walls of paranoia, but as intelligent, discerning boundaries. The second question that should trigger your psychological alert system is equally insidious. Who else have you told this to? This seemingly innocuous inquiry is actually a sophisticated method of establishing psychological control and potential isolation. By attempting to understand the extent of your confidential disclosures, the individual is simultaneously gathering information about your social network and potentially creating a context of secretiveness and exclusivity. This question reveals more about the interrogator than the person being questioned. It suggests a desire to create a unique, potentially manipulative relationship where information is controlled and shared selectively. The underlying motivation might be to position themselves as a special confidant, to create a sense of intimacy that is actually a form of psychological manipulation. True connection is not about exclusive information ownership, but about mutual respect, trust, and the freedom to maintain healthy, transparent relationships. Your emotional intelligence is your most sophisticated defense mechanism. It is not a rigid wall, but a dynamic, intelligent system that can discern nuanced psychological intentions. The ability to recognize these manipulative strategies is not about developing fear or distrust, but about cultivating a profound understanding of human psychological dynamics. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for growth, for understanding the complex motivations that drive human behavior. If this reflection echoes something you've carried silently, you are not alone. Feel free to leave your thoughts, or simply be here with us. And if you wish, subscribe and return when the path calls again. Psychological manipulation often operates in subtle, almost imperceptible frequencies. The third question that should immediately activate your internal warning system appears, at first glance, to be an expression of care. Don't you trust me? This seemingly innocent inquiry is actually a sophisticated emotional manipulation technique designed to induce guilt and undermine your carefully constructed boundaries. When someone demands trust as an immediate response, they're essentially attempting to short-circuit your natural, intelligent protective mechanisms. Trust is not a switch to be flipped at someone's command. It is a delicate ecosystem that develops through consistent, respectful interactions. The individual who uses this question is not genuinely interested in building trust. They're attempting to create a psychological pressure environment where your natural hesitation is framed as a personal failing. True emotional intelligence requires us to understand that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not on demand. The person who genuinely cares about establishing trust will demonstrate their reliability through consistent actions, not through guilt-inducing questions that attempt to bypass your natural psychological defense mechanisms. Your hesitation is not a weakness. It is a sophisticated survival mechanism, a testament to your emotional wisdom and self-preservation instinct. The human psyche reaches its most vulnerable state when confronted with questions that challenge not just our external reality, but the very foundations of our internal landscape. As we venture into the depths of psychological manipulation, we encounter questions that are not merely inquiries, but sophisticated weapons designed to destabilize our sense of self, to erode the carefully constructed boundaries that protect our most intimate emotional territories. The fourth question emerges as a particularly insidious psychological tool. Why are you so sensitive? This seemingly casual observation is actually a calculated assault on your emotional authenticity, a method designed to invalidate your most genuine emotional experiences. It represents a profound attempt to gaslight your emotional reality, to suggest that your feelings are not valid, that your emotional responses are somehow abnormal or excessive. When someone challenges the legitimacy of your emotional experience, they're engaging in a form of psychological violence that goes far beyond simple criticism. They are attempting to rewrite your internal narrative to convince you that your most authentic emotional responses are flawed, that your sensitivity is a weakness rather than the profound strength it truly represents. Sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a sophisticated form of emotional intelligence, a nuanced ability to perceive and process the complex emotional undercurrents that flow beneath the surface of human interactions. Your emotional depth is not a vulnerability to be corrected, but a superpower to be honored. The individual who attempts to diminish your sensitivity is revealing far more about their own emotional limitations than about your intrinsic worth. They are showing their inability to comprehend the profound intelligence that lies within emotional vulnerability, the remarkable capacity for empathy, understanding, and deep connection that comes from being truly present with one's emotional experiences. The psychological landscape is a terrain of infinite complexity, where every interaction becomes a negotiation of boundaries, a delicate dance between vulnerability and protection. Our emotional intelligence is not a static defense mechanism, but a living, breathing system of awareness that continuously adapts, learns, and grows. Each challenge to our emotional authenticity becomes an opportunity for deeper self-understanding, a chance to reinforce our internal strength. As we approach the most profound layers of psychological manipulation, we encounter the fifth and perhaps most dangerous question: what would you do without me? This is not merely a question. It is a psychological weapon designed to create a sense of dependency, to establish a toxic dynamic of emotional control that undermines your sense of personal agency and self-worth. The individual who asks this question is attempting to position themselves as an irreplaceable, essential component of your existence. They're trying to create a narrative of dependency to convince you that your value, your potential, your very survival is intrinsically linked to their presence. This is a profound form of emotional manipulation that seeks to erode your sense of individual power, to transform a relationship from a partnership of equals into a hierarchical system of control. True connection is not about dependency, but about mutual growth, about creating spaces where both individuals can thrive independently while choosing to support and celebrate each other. The person who genuinely loves you will never seek to diminish your individual power, will never attempt to make you feel small or incapable without them. They will instead inspire your growth, celebrate your individual journey, and stand beside you as a supportive presence, not a controlling force. The human spirit is infinitely more resilient, more powerful, more extraordinary than any attempt to contain or control it. Our emotional intelligence is a sophisticated navigation system, a profound mechanism of self-protection that goes far beyond simple defensive strategies. It is an active, dynamic intelligence that can transform potential psychological threats into opportunities for deeper self-understanding, for personal growth, for the continuous evolution of our most authentic self. In the ultimate landscape of personal transformation, we discover that the most powerful protection against psychological manipulation is not a rigid wall of defense, but a dynamic, intelligent system of self-awareness. The journey we've traversed is not about creating fear or developing paranoid mechanisms, but about cultivating a profound understanding of human psychological dynamics that empowers rather than restricts. Our exploration of these 5 manipulative questions reveals a deeper truth about human connection. That true intimacy is not established through psychological probing or control, but through genuine respect, consistent authenticity, and mutual emotional intelligence. Each question we've examined is a mirror, reflecting not just the intentions of those who would seek to manipulate, but our own capacity for growth, resilience, and self-understanding. The real power lies not in avoiding connections, but in developing such a deep sense of self that no external inquiry can shake the foundation of your emotional integrity. Your worth is not determined by how you respond to manipulative questions, but by the profound understanding you've cultivated of your own emotional landscape. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for deeper self-knowledge, a chance to refine your emotional intelligence and strengthen your internal resolve. Imagine your consciousness as a living, breathing ecosystem, dynamic, intelligent, continuously evolving. The manipulative questions we've explored are like external stimuli, testing the boundaries of this ecosystem. But you're not a passive recipient of these interactions. You are an active, intelligent system capable of transforming potential threats into opportunities for growth, of turning psychological challenges into moments of profound self-discovery. The most sophisticated form of self-protection is not about building impenetrable walls, but about developing such a deep sense of self that manipulative attempts become transparent, almost laughable in their simplicity. Your emotional intelligence is a refined instrument, a nuanced mechanism that can discern the true intentions behind words, that can navigate the complex terrain of human interactions with grace, wisdom, and compassionate awareness. We are not victims of psychological manipulation, but powerful beings with the capacity to recognize, understand, and transcend attempts to control or diminish our authentic experience. Each challenge to our emotional boundaries is an invitation to go deeper, to understand ourselves more profoundly, to strengthen the core of our being in ways that go beyond simple defense mechanisms. The ultimate transformation occurs when we shift from a reactive stance of protection to a proactive approach of self-understanding. We learn to recognize manipulative questions not with fear, but with a calm, intelligent awareness that sees through attempts to undermine our emotional sovereignty. Our sensitivity becomes our strength. Our vulnerability becomes our power. Our emotional intelligence becomes an unbreakable shield that is simultaneously soft and impenetrable. In the grand tapestry of human connection, we're not meant to close ourselves off, but to develop such a profound sense of self that we can engage with the world from a place of genuine authenticity. The manipulative questions lose their power when we recognize them for what they truly are, attempts to control that reveal more about the questioner's limitations than about our own worth. If this story helped you see a part of yourself more clearly, leave a trace, like a comment, a decision to walk with us. Subscribe, and let this space be part of your own healing. Our journey of self-discovery continues, an endless path of growth, understanding, and profound emotional intelligence. They said you were weird, but the truth is, your mind sees what others can't. Subscribe to discover the genius hidden beneath the silence.